Welcome back to another episode of Follow Time with De'Meco and Blair, a podcast where dads talk about balancing fatherhood, relationships, careers, and passions. I'm De'Meco, your resident dad to a wackadoo toddler, and this week MJ survived her first fever.
Fever trips. Crazy time. Dad and mom survived their first fever trip. And I am the play partner, your host with the most, your country cousin, Sir Winnie, a.k.a. Blair, the resident father to the 7-year-old who is getting into soccer. So we athletes now, you dig? It's going up. I can't wait.
On the podcast, we got Matthew Amayao joining us, a.k.a. Just Divot, a fellow Trap Golf ambassador. Shout out Trap Golf in the building.
Yes, sir.
Matthew, appreciate you stopping in and getting some much needed father time.
Oh, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's kind of weird. Like, I've always been the host of a pod. I've never really been the guest of a pod. So really do appreciate you guys bringing me along for the ride. And it's an honor and privilege to be here today. And can't wait to talk all dad stuff.
Yeah, we're going to get into a lot more than just the dad stuff. But yeah, man, we're very excited to have you on. How's your master's week going? I guess that's the thing right now.
My master's week, well, I started watching Live. I started watching Live Golf just simply to tune in and see what's going on there. You know, kind of keep my finger on the pulse.
Yes, sir.
Checking out the a.k.a. stuff and what he's doing. He's getting off to a good start. And other than that, that's pretty much it. My week right now is primarily WrestleMania week.
There we go.
I'm all things focused. Before I even hopped on live with you guys, I was watching SmackDown right before. So it's the go home show before WrestleMania tomorrow, night 1, and then Sunday, night 2. So this is usually along, with my wife's birthday in April, along with Masters Week. April is usually a pretty good, exciting month for me that I always look forward to each and every single year.
Nice. Dog, that's crazy, awesome. Bro. I just got back into wrestling big time, just like I think 2 WrestleManias ago.
Yeah, you and a bunch of other people, man. Now is a good time to really get into it. It's at a fever. It's at a fever pitch. It's hot.
What I would tell people is it's like the Raw era. It's like the Attitude Era. It's like the Attitude era all over again.
It's kind of like the Attitude Era. After the Attitude Era is the ruthless aggression era, and then we're kind of we're kind of in this like little era that we can't really define right now because it's just starting. That we can't really put a tag on it, can't really put a name on it. But we just know that it's just firing on all cylinders. And as a wrestling fan, I'm lifelong wrestling fan. I'm very, very excited for this week.
All right. So you said SmackDown was today. Like, all right. So I'm going to admit, like, I have not really been into wrestling. I just remember when SmackDown was on Thursdays. Yeah. Like that was the thing.
Thursdays
that's
on
been
UPN?
Obviously a minute.
Yeah, Thursdays.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bro. Yes, sir. That's when they had split the factions. It was Triple H and those guys were at Raw. The Rock and the Undertaker went to SmackDown. They were doing
They were on
SmackDown. Yeah, man.
The roster splits.
Yeah, the roster splits are crazy. I think right now what you're missing kind of, De'Meco, is like the AEWs that come on Tuesday and Wednesday on TBS. TNT wrestling, and then for some reason I'm catching a lot of indie wrestling streams when I go on Twitch. A lot of people are posting like indie wrestling streams. The indie circuit is popping right now too.
Yeah, the independent circuit, along with streaming in general, it's kind of meshed. This generation of wrestling fans, it's kind of like opened up a new world to how we view wrestling and how we watch wrestling. But for De'Meco, it's crazy because Chicago is like top 2, maybe along with New York City, as far as like a hotbed for professional wrestling. As far as like anytime a show is there, down at the Rosemont Horizon at the Allstate Arena, like they pack that out. Yeah. And as far as the acoustics and just how loud it could get in that building, wrestlers love to be in that particular arena. They love the Rosemont Horizon, and it has a lot of history. It's hosted WrestleManias. And one of my top favorite wrestlers right now, he's a Chicago native.
CM Punk?
So shout out to CM Punk.
CM Punk. Yes, sir.
So Chicago is a definite hotbed for professional wrestling.
That's what's up. The conversation I've had with my brother's a huge wrestling fan. Shout out my brother Ian. he's always been like, oh, we should go to a wrestling match. And I'm like, I'm down with it. Like, he's an actor by trade, and like he studies the theatrics of it all. And I'm like, I'm totally down to just like buy into all of it.
Bro, it's so fun when you do it because it at least for me in the past few years, I've got to go back and feel the same energy and like, damn it, why did that happen? Oh my God, that did happen, that I did when I was like a teenager, like a preteen. It's like when you saw The Undertaker like come out of the coffin on Raw, after you thought that he was legit dead for 2 weeks. As a kid, I was like, they really buried this man on TV. And then he just pops out of a casket. I was like, oh my God. Like, I feel that now. And I'm like, oh my God, Roman Reigns might get a heel turn from his cousin on the biggest stage, and that's like how I see this happen. We'll talk about that later on. Let's get into the
oh my God, I almost geeked into this real quick.
Dude, I was
geeked into that because I was just like going right into it because
hey Blair, De'Meco's gonna be our guinea pig, man. We're gonna get him into it full fledged. He's gonna go to a show at the Allstate Arena. He's gonna soak in the atmosphere, the crowd noise, and
he's going to call me the next day
of everything of a WWE show.
He's going to call me the next day, pumped. Blair, I can't take the face paint off.
I'm live streaming that. If I'm there, I'm live streaming.
Yeah, yes, sir. Especially at an Allstate Arena show.
Yeah, I mean, they were just there a couple of weeks ago. Raw was, and I only know that because I follow Pat McAfee a lot.
Last week, they were there last week.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, because it was right before they had.
It was 2 Mondays ago.
Yeah,
it was when Rock attacked Cody Rhodes at the end.
Oh my God, that was real.
He showed up unannounced. to Chicago. Yeah.
No, don't tell me to fucking stop. Don't tell me to stop.
Right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's right there in the background. See, I see him right there.
He pulled up. He has
cheesing. He
pulled up.
Yeah.
That was my Moana impersonation. Matt, what are your top 5 fictional fathers?
All right, I was talking to De'Meco on the phone a couple days ago. Where's my phone at? All right, so
he got them written out.
I've listened to the episodes, and one common denominator in the top 5 father list is rest in peace, James Avery.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Phil. So I was like, you know what? If I were to make a list, obviously James Avery's going to be in it. Obviously Uncle Phil's going to be in it, right? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Just let's take him out of the equation because he's like a number one, obvious consensus number one choice. Let's just try to go a little bit non-conventional and list out a couple more people. So I got a list prepared. Let's see here. And who did you have previously? Just last week? This past episode?
Jake Cooper.
Yeah, Jake. So he actually took one of mine. So I was like, oh, damn. But it was a good one. It was a really great choice. So number 1 for me is going to be Tony Soprano. The Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. I know I briefly talked with De'Meco about this too when we were talking about top 5 fathers, like Instagram chat and DMs and all that stuff. So not necessarily the most ethical choice just because he's more leaning towards like the anti-hero sort of deal. He commits adultery, commits murder, a bunch of other stuff, but the dynamic, if you watch the show that he has with his kids and with his wife and the people that he loves, you do feel sympathetic to the stuff that he does go through, even though he might have his most ruthless ways about him. That's just number 1 for me, just because growing up, I never really watched The Sopranos. I didn't watch it until maybe I turned 20, 21. So, early years of being an adult, that's one thing I kind of got into. Number 2, who do we got for number 2? So another kind of staying on the same theme as far as like the mafia and gangsters are concerned, but Vito Corleone from The Godfather. I think Marlon Brando smoked that role.
Yes.
I mean, there's not much more that we could say about Marlon Brando being Vito Corleone. And just the fact that while he had that same ruthless side to him that Tony Soprano did, the love that he had for his children and the love that he had for them so much that he wanted them to be legit. He didn't want them to follow his path. So, you know what? You guys are destined for much more. Michael, I want you to be, a senator, a politician. And obviously, if you watch The Godfather, spoiler alert, he pretty much took over the family.
Spoiler alert on a 30-year-old movie. So, spoiler alert.
Nah,
for a person who hasn't seen it, I still don't have it.
Jeez, I keep forgetting.
Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad.
No,
De'Meco, that's my bad.
It's not gonna. But it won't hit until I watch it because I have zero concept of what happens in the movie. So
once you get to the second movie in the trilogy, my friend, well, you don't even have to count it as a trilogy.
You start doing this as well.
Doing that. And you just start like blurting out one-liners from the movie to random people or to friends or family that you know, because it's like it's in the pop culture lexicon, so it's kind of hard to avoid. Number 3, we're gonna go for Game of Thrones fans out there. We're gonna go with Ned Stark.
First Game of Thrones reference.
Ned Stark. Oh man.
Yeah, we'll go Ned Stark just because. He's Ned Stark.
He put his neck on the line for his family, for real.
For real.
Man.
Literally, yes.
Literally. # gone too soon because they got boy out within a couple episodes.
At the end of season 1, I'm talking about, bro. I was
season 1
very mad.
It was like one of those things where they left you at a cliffhanger at that episode, and you're like, they're not actually going to cut his head off. Like it's not actually going to happen. Another spoiler alert. Sorry, spoiler alert. But it's not. They're not actually going to do this. And then next thing you know, the next episode starts, and you're like, oh, he's really gone. Like they really got him.
That was nobody's dream sequence. They chopped my dog's head off in front of his children.
Like the dog of dogs. Like their crest has like wolves on it, you know? So it's like, wow, they really got rid of Ned Stark. Number 4. Jake, last week, he said Jack Pearson from This Is Us. This Is Us is one of the shows that me and my wife bonded over, and she like always put Jack on a pedestal, and I don't blame her. I put Jack on a pedestal too, but like if there's something that I'm lacking or I'm not doing correctly, if I'm like, just disregarding my fatherly husband duties, then it's like we're watching This Is Us. She's like, oh, you never do that for me. I'm like, damn. Jack Pearson got me.
I gotta get my Jack on. I gotta pull a Jack
Pearson. I gotta get my Jack Pearson on. Yeah, Jack Pearson, number 4 for me. Number 5, we're gonna go with Mr. Levinstein from American Pie.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Levinstein, because he's had to deal with the most awkward shit, sexual or non-sexual. It was mostly sexual.
Okay.
But
raising a teenager in the early 2000s, that's all you need to know.
And walking into your son having intercourse with an apple pie, that's unfathomable. You can't.
It's not National Pie Day when we post this episode, is it?
No, I think we passed
it. Something like that would happen.
Just missed it.
Yeah, but as far as fictional fathers, those are at the top for me. As far as like real life fathers, I got my older brother Mark. Shout out to my brother Mark. He's a great dad. Me and my dad don't really get along. But he's still my dad at the end of the day. Who else? My father-in-law Jose. Shout out to Jose. He's nothing but amazing. He's been great to me. Took me in right away. He's always been kind of nice to me when I was courting his daughter. That sounds so corny. Courting his daughter.
No, say it the right way.
That's respectful.
Yeah, that's respectful.
Yeah,
that's respectful.
Because
when I was courting his daughter, he's been nothing but sweet, kind, and generous to me, our son, and the whole nine, and my family as well. So when our families both met, my family, her family, when we kind of had that meeting where we all under one roof, he just kept that energy.
Love it.
Never really. They met my dad one time, and that was only one time. But anytime we do get together, my family, her family, it's usually my sister, my brother, my nieces and nephews, and it's just one big party, man. So as far as fictional, and then on my personal side, that's where we'll go with fathers.
I love it. Shout out to his brother and his father-in-law, because those are legit great. That's sometimes, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with this pod is having the right father, right men around you can influence you as a dad. In multiple ways. So shout out to all the pseudo dads out there. I think that's a list we can go for too. For sure.
Like you said it for Jake's episode, the dad that stepped up.
Yeah.
And it can't be said enough. Like that phrase right there. That's something that we have to echo each and every single day.
Yeah, and that's what we do with this podcast. We want to be able to celebrate. A lot of people can look at being a dad and they'll say like it's a thankless job, or you shouldn't be celebrated for being a dad or thanked for being a dad. It's your job. You did it. But like we should like because there are so many who are fuck ups. Whether it's in our direct personal lives or people that we know of that could be bad fathers or bad dads. It's really generous or excuse me, not generous is a bad phrase. It's really dope and it's really noteworthy when you find men who care to always be there. The guys that wake up extra early, who stay up extra late, who work the 2 or 3 jobs. A lot of dads who are single fathers and no one knows about. Like, shout out to y'all. This is for y'all. Shout out to you.
Shout out to all y'all.
For real, because what's the tagline, Blair? You're never not dead.
Never not dad, bro. You're never not dead.
Shout them out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I want to go back to the WrestleMania stuff. We'll get. I've been thinking about this the whole time.
Hey, I could talk wrestling all day. People who know me, I could talk about this shit on a daily basis. Like outside of golf, like pro wrestling to me, since like I was 5, like growing up in elementary school, 9, 10 years old, people telling me, when you grow up, you're not going to watch this again. Like you're going to stop and then you're going to look back and be like,
I'll show you.
He's like, Cap.
Yeah, I'll be like, no, yeah, exactly. I had kind of had that I'll show you attitude. And then it got to the point where there were times where the product was just so bad. Like the storylines and the angles that were so bad that it almost got to that point where I almost did stop watching, but I just never full-fledged, never dropped it cold turkey. I just couldn't. I loved it too much.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, no, so what I was saying is I kind of got into it a little bit because it was right when the Rock show, Young Rock, came out, and my wife and I are huge Rock fans, but we started watching that show because we didn't really know much about him when he turned, like
Dwayne Johnson.
After Hollywood.
So hold on, really fast. Stop. So you're saying you knew Dwayne Johnson, you didn't know The Rock,
but you never knew The Rock.
No, I knew The Rock. I knew the.
Okay.
I knew that. Okay. I knew that Rock. I knew that was the Rock that people told me I look like, and obviously, I mean, I shaved the head.
Yeah.
I'm
you got it down.
I'm going
out. Look at Blair. Blair's off his rocker, bro.
Yo, people ask like, "De'Meco, you shave your head?" My wife wanted me to look like this. Yeah. I can show you. I got an arm sleeve and everything. Like,
you got a sleeve. You got everything.
I got everything. I got everything.
Okay. All right.
So before we get on with the rest of the pod, here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
If you have Peacock, go ahead because you have access to old episodes of Monday Night Raw and old episodes of SmackDown.
We watched the greatest hits of WrestleMania, and that's what I was getting to. I was like, we watched that stuff that we were reliving those moments.
There you go. That's a good starting point. But if you really want to know how The Rock became The Rock and how people hated him when he was Rocky Maivia, when they wanted him to go away, they even wanted him to die. They chanted for him to die at one point. To the point where he was like, fuck this. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to turn heel, which is an insider term for being a bad guy in pro wrestling, for those who don't know.
Babyface and heel.
And I'm going to show people who's boss. I'm going to show them, hey, I don't care if you like me. I'm going to show off my personality, some of the things like... So pro wrestling, if you're... As far as a character, it's pretty much yourself cranked up to 11. So it's like an expression... Something that's inside of you that you want to express, but you really can't do it in a social environment. But in pro wrestling, you can. So before we get on with the rest of the pod, you definitely have to understand how The Rock became The Rock. And I have the resources and the tools to provide that to you, De'Meco. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you and your wife are ready, we'll get y'all started.
If you want, because I know you got we can leave this in. You've got the new IG profile. What is it? The square circle?
It's the Squared Circle Golf Club. So I remember talking to a bunch of my homies who play golf, and my brother who I recently got into golf in 2020, and then kind of got him back into pro wrestling. He was the one who pretty much one of the people who got me started in my fandom with pro wrestling, because he was born in 79, so he was watching Hogan, Warrior, Savage, Piper, Sergeant Slaughter, Vader, all those dudes, Ric Flair.
The original
he was watching
Rocky.
all those dudes. The original Rock, yeah. So pretty much, once I got him in the golf, one of my good homies, shout out to Eric, I don't know if he's scratched right now or if he's like a 4 handicap, but he's really good. He's better than me. He's like the best golfer in our group. And I found out when we first got together around 2021, found out he was a diehard wrestling fan too. So when we play, not only do we talk about golf or talk about our families or talk about, other bullshit, NBA, NFL, stuff like that, we talk about wrestling. That's another common thing that we talk about. And getting to know these friends through golf and through wrestling, I was like, there's definitely an untapped market for people who happen to be golfers, who go out, they're weekend warriors, they practice on the range, but they work a 9 to 5, they have kids, they're married. There might be some people out there who do all that, juggle golf on the side for fun as a hobby, and also go home, sit on their chair, sit on the couch, whatever it may be, and sit in front of a TV and watch pro wrestling. There might be people out there who do that. And when I created this page, there are people who do. There are people who reached out to me and be like, hey, I fuck with you on the wrestling tip. Like, hey, I fuck with you on the golf tip. And you like both? That's crazy. Yeah. Like, I didn't know. So it was a pretty eye-opening experience just to see, just a small amount of support from people who were like, hey, I like wrestling. They're like, hey, me too. Hey, I happen to, teach golf, or I happen to be a club builder. I'm like, see, like, I just knew on the back of my head that this was something that was going on. And then slowly but surely, like, there are people, professional wrestlers, who ended up taking up the sport of golf. Like Booker T, for example. If you go on Scratch, there's like a 3-part video series of Booker T playing golf.
The Miz.
And I'm like, who would have thought? I saw that. Yeah, The Miz is always at like Malbon events. He's at like 2K events. Mm-hmm. Miz is a crazy ambassador for the WWE, and he just happened to fall in love with the game of golf just like all of us. So that's kind of how we all connected. Like, I would have known about you, De'Meco. I would have known about you, Blair, if it wasn't for golf.
Obviously.
So
I mean, same with me and De'Meco.
Yeah,
exactly. So the game itself, this beautiful game that we all love, connected me with such great people like you, man, right here, sitting in front of me talking. And sky's the limit. I really don't know where else I go from here with Squared Circle Golf Club. I really don't know where else I go from here with Just Divot. I'm gonna just keep doing me, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I was getting at, Matthew, is if you ever want to jump on like a live or make specific content for like a newbie that isn't into wrestling, like, just imagine you're directing it at me, and I will consume the crap out of that content.
When it comes to your passions, I mean, obviously golf, we just talked about for a while. You just talked about wrestling we just talked about wrestling for like 20 minutes. And I know that you have a little bit of like that nerd in you to where you want to learn, and, you're filming yourself at the range. How do you kind of incorporate those like passions and loves with your family?
Communication. As soon as mid-sentence while you were talking, the first thing I thought of was communication. Simply put, if you're married, communicate. Use your phone, whatever technology that you have, use this to your advantage. There's a shared calendar. Put the dates on there. Put the name of what you're doing, date, time, place, who you're with, all that good stuff. My wife, shout out to my wife. I love my wife. She is one of those micromanaging type of wives to the benefit of our relationship. Yeah, we hear micromanaging. We kind of hear that in a negative connotation, especially in the professional environment. But with her, this really does better our life. And we'll get to our kid in a second. But back to your question, to juggle all that, it doesn't necessarily take a village. It just takes a couple words. Hey, I'm doing this on this date. Is there anything booked on this date? No, you're good. All right, put it in the calendar. She checks in on shit with me, and vice versa. I check in on shit with her. And be like, hey, what do you got going on this week? You let me know. We'll make it work. And that's it. And this is one thing I remember we kind of got into like a little tiff. And she let me know, hey, just want to let you know, it's okay for us to have our own lives. we don't have to be together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we love it, we have our shows, we have the things that we do when we're at home. You know, I help her prep food. I help her with the dishes. I'll help her, you know, with whatever else is going on. And then at the end of the day, we'll watch our TV shows and spend some quality time together, right? But she has her friends. I have my friends. She's not necessarily too. I mean, she supports me in all my endeavors, and she loves golf. I kind of got her into golf, but she's not going to go out there and play golf with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that doesn't really fancy her. If she's going to golf, she's going to ride in the golf cart and drink seltzers or drink, you know, whatever cocktails that are made. That's her deal.
There we go.
You know, and to me that's cool. You know, she doesn't have to come into my world. I don't have to go into her world. You know, she can tell me about the day that she had with her friends. You know, they went to the winery or they went out to this fancy restaurant, all that good stuff, or they went to a cool coffee shop. That's her deal. I like those things too. I could bring her into my world, take her to a golf course, have her watch me play, or take her to like a golf social event, and I think she would enjoy that as much as I would enjoy her stuff. So communication is definitely key.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that was really it. We're just like trying to figure those things out, and like you said, it's key to not force yourself into your other person's life and force them into yours. In a sense of like, I don't know, like some people use it as like a fear thing, or some people are like, I feel like in a way I have to let you know what I like to do. So like we're always together because that's what married people are supposed to do, quote unquote. And for me, it's like my wife and I just so happen to enjoy a lot of the same things. But when I go golfing, she hates coming out. Like she will never come to the course with me. Like I'm like, hey babe, like I have nobody else to come with me.
Yeah.
I need to shoot some content. Could you pull up? And then it's like let me think about it. How hot is it going to be? Like all of those things. So it's like I know for sure that that's not her vibe. But if it's ever a moment where it's game night or we're going bowling or you know like family time, like those things, I know that she's 100% into, and I can always incorporate little things of like gaming or you know comics. I'll bring the chipping. Like the chipping pad out, and I'll have like some of the family just practice chipping with the wiffle ball. So it's still like more of a, like you said, it's like social golf events that I try to create at the house to just get their eyes on golf. I don't necessarily need them to like it because again, it separates. It gives me that father time. It gives me that me time. Like I know I can have 4 hours to myself at the course, and it's not an escape from the family. It's a reset of self. So I'm the best version for the family. That's just
and also it's an expression of also an expression of you to show them like, hey, this is what I love to do, and like
I want to show my daughter to never
give
up on the shit that she loves. Like never stop believing in the thing that you believe in. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. I didn't mean to cut you off either, but yeah, it's just an expression of you and what you love to do, and it's always nice to have your loved ones who don't necessarily understand at first end up developing some sort of understanding for the things you like to do, no matter how much it is or how long it takes.
For sure. How do you feel about that, De'Meco? Because I want to kind of ask you that same question. When is it? I mean, I know that it's not like a harsh thing, but finding those little moments to like pick and choose for you and Kate.
Yeah, no, you already know it's a lot of overlap. I mean, it's kind of like what Matthew was saying. It's just communication. We communicate on a daily, and even like the little tips that we have, it's moments for us to reconnect and recalibrate the relationship so that we're on the same page, moving towards the same goal. But as far as hobbies go, like my wife could care less about golf. Like she played high school golf, but it was only to secure a parking spot. If you know, you know. She got the park closer to the building, so you know, like she kept that parking spot for a minute.
Love it.
But yeah, I mean, any of the activities she wants to do, she coaches softball, so I try my best, like after work, get to the softball field with enough time to watch her coach her girls. She enjoys reading. Like the things like she enjoys are solitary, so like she has that time to read her books. She watches like Love is Blind, like those type of shows that like
Hey,
I
that's the
say I'm
shit
like,
right there.
this is like I don't really like this, but then
Yeah,
as soon as I watch
that's
just
the
like 5
shit.
seconds from the corner of my eye, I'm like, but I don't understand why
So
Kelsey and who
Yeah.
and like all the like
why Kelvin always doing this dumb shit?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Get it
exactly,
together,
exactly.
Brandon. Y'all, yeah. We're all the same men.
Yeah.
We're all the same men married to the same
Yeah.
woman. We're just in different houses. Cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
understand that because
Yeah.
I will be
Hey, I
right
want
here,
the
and my wife is watching like 90 Day Fiance or Love Is Blind, and I'm like trying my hardest to like not get into it. But
that's me, dude.
the controller
I'm
goes
falling for
down
the
real
trap.
quick. Like,
I'm falling for the trap, bro.
Yeah.
move over. Let me
And then
come
once
over
the
there.
snacks get involved, once the snacks get involved, and she brings out the snacks, I'm done for.
The snacks
I'm
and
done
like,
for. I'm locked in.
yeah, she knows once I ask one question that I'm locked in, and she's like, "Come on over here." I'm like, "All right." What they doing?
I'm
in
good
See,
to go.
yeah, Kate loves when I loves when I say like, "Hey, is it cool if I go golfing this weekend?" Because she knows, oh, I can watch all of that stuff uninterrupted.
Yeah.
And obviously, Blair, you know this. Like, I don't do scary movies. She loves scary movies, so she's like, "All right, I can get at least 3 scary movies in while you're at the golf course."
Me.
Yeah,
That's all me.
yeah. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to watch
Yeah.
some scary movies?" And she's like, "With you?" I'm like, "No, not with me." She's like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, "All right, I'm at the golf course."
He said, "You go."
Yeah, I'm a psycho, bro. I'm a psycho. So,
I go to sleep to that
my
shit.
wife Jamie, yeah, I was about to say that, dude. Exactly. So that's why I'm a psycho. So Jamie, she doesn't fancy the horror genre. So I'll be in bed on my phone, be like, oh, it's October. Like I'm trying to do a binge before Halloween is over. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm still wide awake. I don't need stimulation, but I need, something like to like make my eyes a little bit heavier. Let me like turn on my phone and like watch The Conjuring 2. I'll be like this. And then next thing you know, I'm dozing off, and
It's like,
and she'll be like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't. I'm a
it's
sicko.
soothing.
I don't know what to tell you."
No, my wife
It's
and I
yeah.
will legit watch like true crime murder mysteries or docs and stuff like that, and like I'll pass out taking a nap to like YouTube where we're just watching funny stuff, and wake up and it's like the announcer's like, and the police opened his refrigerator and saw 2 severed heads, and I was like, "What the fuck is?" But like now I'm not, but now I'm like, I'm just waking up like, it was a head in there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It was
I'm
a
like,
head in the refrigerator.
They dumped the body in acid, and she's like, "What are you watching?"
It's good. This is episode 2.
Something.
It's real.
Yeah,
Yo,
crazy stuff.
shout out Apple TV because it lets you connect the AirPods to them. So I was like, you can watch that in bed.
Oh, there
I
you
just
go.
don't want to wake up to hear it.
He said, please don't let me hear that.
So yeah, I want to touch on it a little bit, Matthew. You kind of talked about some of the challenges you face, obviously as a husband. Can you maybe touch on some of the challenges you face as a father?
Yeah. So our son Braxton, he's about to turn 10 in June. June 8th shares another birthday with another Chicago legend, Mr. Kanye West, commonly known as nowadays Ye. Genius.
Can't beat that.
So he was born in June 8th, 2014. And just as cute as a button. Cute as can be. Loved him. We ended up moving to Southern California. He was born in Portland, where we were living at the time. I'm originally from Portland. Spent most of my life there. Yes, sir. So shout out to the Pacific Northwest. And when he was born, moved down to Southern California not too long after, about 6 months after. Christmas 2014, packed up all our stuff, moved down my in-laws up to where I'm currently at now, which is in the IE, so the Inland Empire. Temecula, Marietta is primarily where we reside. So around 3, we noticed that he wasn't talking, and he wasn't necessarily communicating with us. And to our ignorance at the time, we just never really thought much of it. It's just like, oh, he's taking his time. He's and until when family members started bringing up, they're like, hey, you might want to, this is coming from a place of love. You might want to, get him checked out, see what's going on. If he might be on the spectrum, or if he has autism. And we're like, yeah, we'll get him checked out. And once he turned 4, I think I started to school him on like the ABCs. I'm like, hey, I wrote down the ABCs. My wife was there, took a notepad, wrote down the ABCs, started pointing at each individual letter and telling him what each individual letter was. Like, this is A, this is B, so on and so forth. And he caught on so quick. We're like, wow, like this is massive progress. And it started getting to the point where, like, he could start, verbally communicating with us, which is what he does to an extent. What my wife and I would like to say, he's non-speaking. He has sensory processing disorder. He's on the spectrum. So what that entails is when he's in public, if he's somewhere where he's not comfortable, he'll let it known. He'll cry. He'll he'll start doing things, physical gestures, to let us know that he's not comfortable. So when we do go out in public, we do a lot of family walks. He has a transport chair because simply he just doesn't. Walking is not necessarily his forte. He just doesn't want to. I remember there are times where we would go out to restaurants and he'd be fine. And then there are times where we'd go to restaurants and once we sit down, we can't even order anymore. We'd have to leave. So there are challenging things that we do deal with on a daily basis. Like having a child with autism, I've always said this, is having a child with autism is like having 2 or 3 kids already from the get-go. Just from a care standpoint and a nurturing standpoint. That's always something that I bring up. There are days where we both work, me and my wife, we both work remote, and he'll be with us. And there are times where I have to communicate with my managers. She has to communicate with hers. Or we communicate with each other. Like, hey, I'm going to log off for X amount of time, 10, 20 minutes, see if he's good. And then if he's settled, I'll go back to work. So these types of conversations are things I don't really necessarily shy away from. It's something that I embrace. And with him, I think about this every day. I don't know what religion you follow or what religion you practice. If you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, if you believe in a higher power, you don't believe in a higher power. But I say to myself every single day when I wake up in the morning, like, wow, like something like a higher power or God or whatever the case may be entrusted me enough to take care of this child. And that trips me out every time I say it. And every time I think about it, I'm like, wow, like a higher power thought I was worthy enough to have the patience, to have the wherewithal, to have everything else in between, and my wife as well, to care for this child. No matter how hard it is or how hard it is on our lives every single day. That's what it is. And every time I think about that, I say that to myself, I'm like, okay, today's going to be a good day. Or I'll do my best to make it the best day possible. Because there are more amazing days than there are really difficult, tough days, And if you go on my personal Instagram, there's a post I have pinned where I was working and I had to tell my manager, hey, my wife's in meetings all day. She can't necessarily, log off and be with Braxton, be with my son. That's his name. So I had to tell my manager, I gotta log off early for the day. I'm sorry. Like, I just got to do what I got to do. And I've been so blessed and lucky that the professional environments that I've been in have been really supportive and have allowed me and given me the opportunities they have the leniency to tell me to, hey, go be with your family. Go do whatever you need to do. And I remember I had to sue them. I don't know if he was lacking sleep or if there was something he was watching on his iPad on YouTube that kind of set, pushed him over the edge. But I was like, okay, let's see if you're going to take a nap. Let's see if you're tired. Let's see if this is what you need. You need rest. And it took me a good while on my arms, scratches, a lot of hitting. So that's just a way for him to express just everything he's feeling. He's uncomfortable. He's not feeling good. scratches, pinching, all the whole nine, and uncontrollable crying from him. And it was a really difficult day, just because we were both working, and it got to the point where I really had to log off work to take care of him. And I remember he eventually fell asleep, and something compelled me to say something, just be like, just not from a sympathy standpoint, not from, to gain any sort of, comments or admiration from people that I know. It's just mainly, hey, this is what we go through. This is our life. And yeah, that's just something I wanted to share. There are people out there who kind of know to an extent what we go through on an everyday basis, and there's some people who are just completely oblivious. But I just felt compelled to say something on that day, just because it would be unfair to my wife and to my son for people to think that we live like some sort of different life, that everything is, everything's gravy. It's not. We have some days that are tough, but trust me when I say that the abundance of amazing, incredible, fun days that we have completely outnumber and overshadow any of the negative. And I'm sorry that I had to go on like a tangent there, but that's just when I talk about him, I get really emotional about it, and I tend to,
That's an uncontrollable love, dude. That's your baby.
It's all good, man. This is all about the conversation. And Matthew, I appreciate you opening up as much as you did. There's a lot to unpack just with that one answer. One thing we always talk about is being present. And Blair, on a couple of occasions, has reminded me to be present with my daughter. It's not about the podcast. It's, hey, focus on baby girl. Take care of what you got to do. Like, we got this. The fact that you have the awareness of self to kind of acknowledge, like you said, the higher power that has entrusted you to take care of this child, and to provide you with the patience and all those things to deal with those challenges that may come up and do eventually come up, I think is amazing. Like, that got me really a little bit emotional, just because every day is going to be different from what you were expressing, and
nothing's the same.
Yeah, like the fact that you like, and that's, I am always kind of thinking about the times where I feel frustrated. Like, obviously this past week, baby girl had a fever, and what worked the day before didn't work today, and like dealing with those frustrations of, I'm just trying to do a good job, and knowing the fact that I'm trying is the good job that you're doing. For the day that you're describing, with your son, I can only imagine how trying that was. But for you to have the awareness of self, of knowing and appreciating the journey that you're on, that whatever higher power that you believe in has kind of blessed you with, preparing you to handle and to raise a child, while dealing with the challenges that you do. I mean, hats off to you and your wife and your support system. Yeah, there's nothing, I mean, you could say everything about that. Like, just the fact that you're just that present of a dad I mean, you gotta be. And I mean, yeah, I got no.
That's the moments where most weak motherfuckers would have ran
Yeah.
away him. Like, that's just honest. Like, a lot of people probably walk away. A lot of people get scared. A lot of people probably get frustrated with. Okay, so let me go back. You said it when you were like, a lot of people don't know what you go through, and you wanted to make that post because you wanted to bring light to that. And we talked about this, De'Meco, like, as parents, first-time parents, you are raising yourself and that kid at the same time. So the challenges that I go through are tenfold for you. So, like, you're not looking for acceptance, but posting those things is showing the strength, and it is showing that grace that God gave you and it's showing other parents that are going through it and don't want to show it or are afraid to post it or afraid to think that people might judge them. You're showing them that, hey, you're not alone. This shit does hurt. It is hard. You gotta make those moments matter though, because for a baby who has no way of actually telling you how they feel, your presence means more than anything. So when we talk about like a present being the present, like you are the epitome and the ideal example of that. So on this podcast, we give you all the flowers. You deserve all the recognition and the flowers. And this time is for you to speak about anything that you wanted. And we want to get to as many lighthearted conversations as possible. But to put this one out first and to get this conversation out is going to kind of showcase later on in your answers about fatherhood for a lot of people who might be catching this 50 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody might be walking into a room. So the flowers of this man, the strength of this man, because God gave you strength that me and De'Meco don't have. We're thinking about having second kids. So I'm pulling off of you right now. Like your patience is monk status. So shout out to you, shout out to your wife. And again, shout out to your support staff, your team.
I really, really do appreciate you guys. And thank you for having me on to simply talk about this, because like golf and wrestling, my son and my family is another topic that I could really talk about all day, and my love for them it's unmatched. It's really no words to describe. Like you guys know, it's just we're all dads. No matter, if my son has autism, and then any other dads out there who just live a normal idyllic life, like we're all dads at the end of the day. As long as you're there.
And I hate don't use that phrase. I hate that phrase. That punched me in the gut. Normal, idyllic, like because my baby's not normal. My baby, and that's not a knock. She's not. She is a unique being.
Yeah,
Mayari is a unique being.
Yeah,
like all of us are unique. So like your child just has more distinct uniqueness. And I always say this: your children, because I coached Special Olympics for a while, those children have superpowers that I wish we had the
smart.
I wish we had the full understanding of sitting down and like the patience and understanding of sitting down and understanding them, because what if one of them has the cure to cancer?
Exactly.
Like that's what I always think. Like they're so smart, they could have the cure to cancer. Just you don't have the patience to listen to them.
Yeah, and I think we're slowly but surely. I think we're pretty much there. Like we're getting away from that like negative connotation of like an autism diagnosis. Like it's a beautiful thing to embrace. Anytime I have free time to myself and I'm just sitting there thinking or daydreaming about whatnot, I always think like the same question always pops in my head. If you were to go back in a time, do everything different, or go back, what if there's like an alternate universe where you don't have a son, or if you don't have a son, or if you do have a son, he doesn't have autism? I'm like, no, that's not the life I want to live. I want to live the exact same life that I'm living currently right now, and you can't tell me any different. And, it's also another struggle to have, your previous generation, like your parents or your grandparents, trying to it's really difficult for them to grasp that idea. And I think that where me and my wife come in is just, we come in from an educational standpoint. Like, hey, we want you guys to be more understanding of this. And I understand that you're putting in the effort, but if you want to put in the effort, here's what you need to do to put in the effort. And they do. And they're great. Our support system is amazing. It's rock solid. They understand what we go through. They, there are times where they come from a place of love and they want to talk to us about certain things, but it's easy for them to say because you've never lived it. If you've lived it, we're more welcoming to hear your opinions. I understand it does come from a place of love and all that good stuff, and your intentions are pure and caring, but there's certain times where it's like, oh, you said something you weren't supposed to say, or you said something that, we always hear these comments or we hear advice, and we're open to taking the advice. We're not gonna, shun it away or, keep it locked in a cupboard somewhere. If there's something you want to say to us, you are more than welcome to say it. And if there's something there that we agree with, then awesome, But But if there's something that that just comes off just the slightest bit, my wife, she's gonna take that personally, and then just because she takes it personally, I'm gonna take it personally. So that's kind of where it is.
You piss off the wife,
Yeah.
you now get the horn.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mad at you, but because you made my wife mad, I gotta be mad at you now.
And that's a lesson. That's a lesson that I learned late in life, which I definitely, if there's something I were to go back on, it's like learn that first. Learn that you choose her, and that's it. So if I learned that lesson a little bit earlier in life, I would have saved myself some trouble, the years afterwards. So
yeah, for sure. She's watching this like, I told you so. I told you so.
But back to what you were saying, Blair, about kids with special needs and kids with autism. Like, they're so smart, but Braxton, he's not speaking, but he'll communicate things with us, or like he'll try to do some like little sneaky stuff that he knows he's not supposed to do, like some mischievous stuff, like behind our back.
Exactly.
And we'll catch him and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He'll be like,
he's like,
he'll stop and he'll look at us, and like he'll try to go back to like what he was doing that we thought he was doing, like sitting down, eating his snacks. Yeah, they're always gonna find the opportunity to be sneaky, and like with him, he still watches the same stuff on his iPad. He still watches the same videos from when he was like 4. Like, he's always gonna like always think about like when I'm an old man, he's gonna be an older man, and he's gonna still be watching Toy Story. I'd be like, hey, this is something that we both like have in common. I love Toy Story. I would love Toy Story forever. I don't care if I'm 70 years old. I'm still love that.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, I wouldn't mind watching Toy Story at 83.
He has all.
Come on over
he has all the toys. He has Rex. He has Buzz. He has Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. He has Jesse. He has Forky. He has like a plush, big, giant pillow Bullseye.
Who's Forky?
Forky's from 4. He's
the Spork.
He's the Spork, yeah.
New guy.
So new guy, exactly.
Gotcha.
So he has all the toys, and like he like cares for Woody. Like he'll like if his hat falls off, he'll like put it back on, or he'll tell me to put it back on, and he'll like give him a kiss, all that stuff. But yeah, he's so smart, and just the funniest thing. So he just started doing this one thing recently, which is just a testament to how smart he is. So he loves the sour cream and cheddar Ruffles, right? And what's the color on the bag? It's orange, white, and blue. So we'll be somewhere in the house. Like, we'll be upstairs. He'll be downstairs. He'll be, like, minding his own business and just having fun, playing, being a kid. And all of a sudden, we just hear, orange, white, blue? And we're like, what the hell is orange, white, blue? Like, this is before, like, we even knew what it was. So I remember I just gave him the bag of Ruffles, and he just continued going about his day. I'm like, I told my wife, I'm like, I think that's orange, white, blue. Is that bag of Ruffles? Because it's orange, white, and blue. And then we started noticing this pattern of like the chips that he likes to eat. So he likes to eat the sour cream and cheddar Ruffles, which is orange, white, blue. Nacho Doritos, which is, he calls it red. Blue. The Cool Ranch Doritos, he calls blue. The sour cream and onion Lay's, he calls green. So he just calls the chips by color. And it's like one of those things where growing up, like, he knows his animals, he knows his ABCs. He could count to, like, I don't even know. He could count pretty fucking high. He knows his colors enough to where he could communicate, the what he wants to eat for the day.
Food via colors.
Down to his meals. Like, it's so. Anytime he says a color, or if he asks for something, I never get tired of it, just because it shows how much he's progressed since he was born. So it's something that we always treasure.
What I'm imagining, and I apologize, this is an oversimplification, but I'm imagining Ratatouille when he's like tasting the foods and closing his eyes, he's seeing the colors. That's what I'm imagining. And how he's expressing that. That's awesome.
I wouldn't call that oversimplification. That's
pretty much that's pretty much what it is.
Perfect.
We tried giving him like off-brand snacks, like those Totino's pizza rolls. I tried giving him like the Safeway Bobo brand version of those pizza rolls. He ain't touching it. He's not gonna eat it. He knows, he could decipher. He's smart enough to know what the good stuff is versus the off-brand stuff. If we give him like the wannabe Doritos, he's not gonna eat those.
Yeah.
And
take this shit.
Nothing generic over here.
Yeah, he's
I love this dude even
he's
more.
a name brand kid. He's a name brand kid just to to at our expense, expense of our financials. He's just a name brand kid.
He don't care
He
about
don't
that.
care.
He said,
He's
give me the real green bag of
yeah.
chips.
I want
Take
the
this
real
other
Lays. I
thing
want the
back.
real
Not the
sour cream
lime
onion.
green. I want the real green.
Yeah. So
So, what got you into creating just Divot content?
oh yeah. Summer 2022. My wife was working one day and she had a tough day at work, and she was like, "I need you to retire me." I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" She's like, "You need to like blow up or something, or like do something with your life to where we have money and you can retire me." Because she just was so sick of that day of work where she was like, "Okay," she was like, "You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? Give me your phone. I'm gonna make you a golf Instagram." I'm like, "Don't do that. Don't do that. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna post? Like, I'm like a 16 handicap. Like, what am I gonna do with a golf platform? What am I gonna have? Like, just share stuff with 75 followers? Like, is that what you want me to do?" She's like, "No, blah blah. You're gonna do good. Just I'll support you. Just retire me." I'm like, "Okay, I'll whatever you say." So I remember we were sitting trying to come up with a name, and like all of us, we like Nike. So she came up with
Yes,
a name,
sir.
Just Divot. There was actually one Instagram that already existed that like made divot tools, but they weren't active for like 5 years. So she's like, "Okay, why don't you just be Just Divot?" I'm like, "Okay." And then it started off me posting just whatever I was into, like shoes, fashion, golf clubs, golf equipment, um, professionals, the PGA Tour, live, covering all that stuff, and posting what I thought was neat, you know.
Mhm.
And then I remember, um, what else? Just posting swing videos, this and that. I just stay true to me, create content that I want to create, and then I start getting connected with a couple folks, talking to a couple folks, and I'm doing shit that I never thought would be imaginable, and meeting people I never thought I'd meet in my life, and being able to share a room with certain people that I've always looked up to. Um, it still trips me out. So
All from swinging a fucking stick and a
trying to
Yo,
get a ball in
shout
a hole,
swinging a
so,
stick,
so
hitting a
crazy.
white ball.
Yo, shout out wifey for creating the
Yeah,
IG
Yeah, shout out
page.
to your wife.
yeah. Well, that's pretty much how Just Divot started. Was mainly.
She said,
Mainly.
"Retire me."
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, when she said, do something with your life, that had me gone.
Do something.
Yeah. She's like, "I'm so sick of working for the man."
So what made you, or what gravitated you towards one of the best brands in golf, in trap golf?
Talking to Mun and talking to Wayne, and my podcast Beyond Golf Talk that I have that I currently have with Coach Francis Biondi. He teaches out in Austin. Um, I had Mun on, and I remember at the pop up I talked to Mun, and I was like, "Hey, like, how would you feel? Like, how come you don't have this shirt that I saw online like a month ago or 2 months ago?" And picking his brain, and he'd be like, "You know what? That was a pretty dope shirt." I'm like, "It was dope. You should bring it. You should have been here. I should have copped it." And you're like, "I might have to bring that back." And like just like hearing him say like just a creator's mindset, and like an owner and creator's mindset of like how he processes things, and like the things he goes through putting out a brand like that, and being able to absorb input from a nobody like me is crazy. It's like, I thought that shirt was really dope, and he's like, "You know what? I think you might be right." And then having him on as a guest on the pod, and being able to talk to Mun and get to know him on a personal level, what his passions are, what he's into, his family life, which you know, whatever, if you ever get the chance to have him on, like, he's probably going to divulge all the stuff that he does on the father tip. But just getting to know him, and then watching Wayne from afar, and watching his videos of like how he got into caddying, and like, bro, caddying is just a hard knock life, right? And I remember caddying for my best friend just for a Monday qualifier, and that shit ain't no joke. I burned like 2 million calories, and I couldn't feel my legs afterwards. Like, if Wayne does that as a profession, that's one of the hardest jobs you could ever do, is caddy for a pro. But just along with just the diversity, the inclusion, and the message that they promote from the brand, in general, and getting the youth involved and having all these crazy amount of junior programs for kids to get involved, to provide them with equipment, to provide them the chance to express themselves, to know an elitist sport can be attainable for anybody. If you were to pick up the game, that you too can be on the PGA Tour, you could be on the Advocates Tour, you could grind and hustle your way into some sort of profession using golf as a vehicle. Like, you could be an influencer, you could start your own brand. And I think trap golf, outside of being a dope brand as is, just empowers the youth to show that there's so many possibilities outside of just swinging a club, but being involved in the game at some capacity.
For sure. So, shout out to Trap Golf. You guys use the promo codes.
It's capital Trap Divots. Trap Divots.
Yeah, Trap Divots. And then Father Time Pod at checkout for 20% off. Shout out to
shout out to the gang.
So to have that love of golf from I guess like a personal stance, like you guys both played the game, but then your love of golf and your love of people and the support of people, you and De'Meco are kind of like the most supportive people in the Instagram golf space. Was that always like a conscious choice getting into it? And is that kind of why creating the podcast with the coach, you wanted to voice and put on for more golf people?
I totally understand. And here's what I'm going to say. I'll be lying to you if I said, yes, that was my initial thing, was to support people. I'd be lying, because I didn't know whether to shit or wind my watch when it came to that stuff. Like, I didn't know that a share, even just a comment or a like or a tag, would, be paramount to someone's success. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really come into the game knowing that that's how it worked. Like, I'm ignorant to the social media stuff. I still kind of am. I've learned, a couple tidbits here and there. But when I started, obviously I came in for selfish reasons. I'm like, I kind of, clout's cool, blowing up's cool, but those are the wrong reasons at the end of the day, right? Like, being recognized is cool, but if you have a passion and love the content that you're making, then that's the win right there. But I remember my wife, like, everything goes to my wife. She was like, that a comment or a like or a reshare, that really does help, right? I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, it gets them more recognized, this and that. And, I won't go into the nuance of everything, but I was like, okay. Then I kind of started making more of a conscious effort to, support the homies. And there are two people who and one of them is sitting in this room right now, who kind of made me want to support people more, is when I saw, like, De'Meco had a tag or phrase in his bio. It's like, most supportive golf IG. I'd be like, dude, to take pride in that, that's really cool. Like, just to show people love like that and to share. And when I remember reading that, when I first started getting connected with De'Meco, I'm like, I gotta be that to some extent. I don't know if I could be as supportive as him, but I'm gonna do my damnedest to try. And then another person was Ty Hydripolis.
That's a
previous guest on the pod. Yeah, shout out to Big Hag, Big Drip. So shout out to him. And I remember he made the support your homies tag, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you want to support your homies? It's not hard.
It's free as fuck. It's
I remember I was like, and it's free.
That's the freest thing you can do.
It's free.
Yeah, I'm like, it takes 5, maybe less than 5 seconds of your day to do, to like or reshare or tag something, And so De'Meco, Hack, Ty really helped me, put that in perspective too. So shout out to Ty.
So me, I'm gonna call it back to wrestling, just because I just want to learn a little bit more.
You don't know what you're getting into, bro. You don't know.
Give us, because I'm sure you have a list. Give us your top 5 wrestlers, of whether that you're a fan of or the accolades. I would probably say your top 5 favorite.
I have a criteria, and I've tried to persuade people why these people are where they are in my top 5. They're not my favorite. You just have has to recognize real, and you have to understand these people are in the top 5 for a reason. Okay. So
what's the criteria first? What's the criteria? then
Okay.
go for the top.
Amount of championships won, championship reign, longevity of career, how long your peak was, um, match quality, the all that. Also, just being an ambassador for the
Got
company.
you.
So if you're an ambassador for AEW, if you're an ambassador for WWE, just being able to promote yourself and the company in the best fashion possible. So that's pretty much my basic criteria. There's other nuanced stuff we could talk about that I could add in there, but that's just the basis of it. Number one, in my opinion, this is gonna, rub people the wrong way, or people might agree with me. But number one's John Cena. John Cena is not my favorite wrestler of all time. He absolutely isn't. Do I think his work rate, his ability to wrestle, the move set that he has, is it the most robust? No. Can he tell a story in the ring and get you by the edge of your seat and captivate you to feel what's going on inside there, and for him to have that command of the audience? Does he have that ability? Yes. The amount of championships he's won. He's a 16-time world champion. He had a run when the company was on fire, and he had a run when the company was not
Carried
popular.
it when it was dead.
And he carried the torch when WWE couldn't even fill up half the arena. So John Cena is number one. He's not my favorite, but it's, game has to recognize game, and yeah, he's number one. Number two, this is kind of where it gets crazy. Number two, I might have to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin, just because of when he was in his prime. That 97, 98, 99, 2000, that kind of like 5-6 year stretch that he had, there was no one touching him from 98 to 99. If you look at Stone Cold Steve Austin from 98 to 99, I don't care if you're Hulk Hogan, I don't care if you're Randy Savage, I don't care who the hell you are. What? From 98 to 99, no one is touching that man from a box office standpoint and merchandise standpoint. Exactly. And there are people in the NFL, there's football players, wide receivers, linebackers who are wearing the shirt, who are supporting him, while Jake the Snake Roberts
walking out of the fucking ring. Yeah.
And once he coined that phrase, boom, it was a done deal. The rocket ship was strapped to his back. Boom. Stone Cold Steve Austin, number two. Number three, I'm gonna have to go for Bret the Hitman Hart, because he's another one who also carried the company when it was not popular, and WWE was getting their asses handed to him by WCW from a ratings perspective. Bret Hart had the belt. He was the man from 93 to around 97. But there's maybe 2 years there where I felt like he was at his absolute peak. And I think it was around 94, 95 where he was at his absolute peak. Not that many world championship reigns, just because, politics or whatnot. He wasn't made to be the guy, the absolute guy that he was to some extent, but it's just the company was in dire straits at that time. But from a technical standpoint, moveset, role model, having the ability to make your moves look incredibly real, telling a story through your technical style, and everything else in between, the marketability, the swag, the charisma, the outfits, the colors. He stood out from a lot of people just by letting his ring work speak for himself. He wasn't the best on the mic, but once he got in that ring, you knew what's up. So Bret the Hitman Hart, number three. Number four, I'm going to have to go with The Undertaker. Longevity, decades of destruction, domination, being a locker room general, a leader, being the people who go to for advice, just being that fatherly figure over other people on the roster, from both the men and for the women. Number five, this is where you kind of might toss in Rock, or you might toss in Hulk Hogan. I discredit Hulk Hogan for personal reasons.
I think we all do,
because of things he said in the past. Yeah.
I think we all do.
But you can't deny the run he had. He had like two primes. He had one in the 80s to early 90s, then he had one in the
He had one as like Hulkamania Hulk Hogan, and then as Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
So or you could toss in Rock. But Rock is like, he had such a small window of his prime was so small compared to other wrestlers that, but the Rock's the Rock. The most electrifying man in sports and entertainment is the Rock. And from that same era that Stone Cold Steve Austin was in, that Attitude Era that we spoke to previously, he showed why he was the man. Yeah, you could have Stone Cold Steve Austin there, but to have an equal at the same time, like,
and that's what made both of them great. Is when they both were hitting their peaks, they had each other. That they were. For anybody who doesn't like really understand wrestling and like what we're really deeply talking about, and you're lost right now. Imagine Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa when they both were going home run for home run. When they both were going for the record, that's what these two were. They needed each other to be as like their stories aren't the same if it wasn't for each other. So I 1,000% agree with that. Yeah. But I want to kind of talk about The Rock because you were talking about his heel turn, and that's when The Rock went from trying to please everybody as Rocky Maivia to putting on the Versace suit or the Versace shirt with it wide open. How did you, damn it, it's a 2-part question. So how did you feel when you saw Roman's exact process kind of fall in line with The Rock? Because he had the same thing. He wanted to be loved by the people. They hated him. They didn't want him to be the guy. Then he ends up, getting leukemia, comes back and fights after that. He's still not liked, but the second he hits his heel turn, he becomes the greatest champion that low-key we've seen of recent years because of his reign. Like the longevity of him holding the title, whether you like the fact that he has it or not, like he's still the guy. So like him and The Rock's turns kind of mirror. So like, how do you did you see that as well? And how do you see the bloodline, quote unquote, carrying the staple from here on out?
Yeah. That family is just legendary and dominant. And there's so many legends in that family alone that they're most likely going to go on forever.
They could.
It doesn't matter if they have sons. It doesn't matter if they have sons. It doesn't matter if they have daughters. Because they have girls in that family who kick ass. But to answer your question, as far as like the mirroring careers between Rock and Roman Reigns, it's like watching both of them initially, they're a victim of bad booking. So they were going by how the company wanted them to look. They force fed them to us, shoved them down our throats, and they were both victims of bad booking. Rock, before he became The Rock, wasn't booked the way we wanted him to be booked. Roman wasn't booked how we wanted him to be booked. So that change of scenery, that change of attitude, the entire change of just kind of embracing who you are just goes a long way. And with those two dudes, that's pretty much how it happened. Like, their turns are going to be legendary. So when Rock turned heel, he became a legend. When Roman turned heel, he became a bona fide legend. Like, he was already like a Hall of Famer just by accolades alone as a baby.
Yeah.
But as a heel, toss that into the mix. Now you're the longest reigning champion in however
I think it's 2 now.
Like, with the no, he's been champion since August 2020. So it's 4 years. But to possibly surpass Hulk Hogan in a reign, like, it's a different product then than it is now. Like, obviously we want to see the title change hands just because our attention spans are shorter. The attention spans back then is a lot more tolerable to see somebody like a Bruno Sammartino or like a Hulk Hogan hold the belt for X amount of years. That's just how it went.
No, so that was really great. How did you feel when you saw The Rock come out in the Versace shirt this time though? Like in 2024, he walks out.
Oh, I needed it. I needed that. I needed that, bro. I needed that because when The Rock came back, 2011, it was like, that's Dwayne.
He was merchant.
Smiling too much.
He was merchant. He had the Under Armour everything.
Yeah. I was like, bro, he's trying to promote the Fast and Furious movies. This ain't Rock. This is Dwayne Johnson. So when he came out with the Versace shirt, I'm like, okay, I think we got Rock back.
Yeah.
Like, that We got a little bit of Dwayne still, but it's like 90% Rock.
Yeah, I think him and Triple H actually got some beef again.
I needed that, which we
need that for sure.
Which we also need. So, yeah, but no, wrestling's booming. Rock being added to the equation just magnifies everything and gets more eyes into the product, which is what we all want at the end of the day. And people who don't watch wrestling, and they only watch it as kids, they could, kind of relive that inner kid in themselves. So
this is the time.
I have nothing but great things to say about what's going on right now.
This is the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's you were talking about I feel like this is gonna make me look so bad. When that Austin 316 came out, obviously Blair had mentioned everyone had that t-shirt. I thought it was a real Bible verse. I was like, because I wasn't really that intimate with the Bible. I was like, oh, all right, cool. This dude must be hella religious.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because I didn't hear, because I wasn't really watching wrestling, so I didn't hear the bit of I don't care what your Bible says. So I never knew. I just all of a sudden started seeing people with that and then doing that in the hall. I was like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere for me.
D-Generation X, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys. Who else am I missing out on? That was crazy good at the time.
I remember the Dudley Boys. I remember. I mean, this might be a different one, but I remember. I remember what is his name, Rikishi. I remember that. Yeah, that time. That time of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that time of wrestling.
We're kind of reaching that point where people who weren't really into wrestling still watch wrestling during that era. We're kind of reaching that again with this current iteration.
Because it's just going to a place where you can be live, scream, have some beers with some friends, have some fun, enjoy the camaraderie, live on the highs, down on the lows. It's great. And shout out to Pat McAfee for kind of low-key making it semi-cool too, because he's brought the football generation in. Because a lot of wrestlers are ex-football players, which I truly knew that, but didn't fully know that.
Pat McAfee has the bag. Pat McAfee has the bag, and in my opinion, he's still severely underpaid.
Damn.
Yeah.
I actually know one of the video guy that does the graphics, Mike Gertie. Yeah, Dirty. I know Dirty Gertie. So I'm trying to get him on the pod. I sent you a DM, fool. I know you saw it.
You
saw it, Nick.
I'll shoot him a DM too.
Yeah, for sure. What would be some of the, I guess, some of the things that you want to share with your boy? Do you take him to the golf course? Do you take him? I mean, I know that you say that sometimes in public it's harder for him. So, do you guys watch wrestling at the house? Is he into it, or is that just another thing that's just yours? Is wrestling and golf yours, or is that something you share?
I wrestle him at home. That kid loves Topgolf. Once he gets to the mat at Topgolf, he already knows what to do. Count to 3, take it back, hit the ball, get into the red circle right there in the front. He already knows what's up. So, from a golf perspective, he likes to putt. He likes to swing the golf club with assistance from me. He does it barefoot. Wrestling, that kid could roughhouse all day, every day. I suplex him on the bed. I give him power bombs. I give him military presses. All the above. Rock bottoms. Yeah, he soaks that up. He soaks that shit up. So yeah, all that stuff. Whatever I like to do, I love to share with him as much as possible.
Yeah, I've powerbombed my daughter a few times. Hit her with the Batista bomb once or twice.
Oh, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be, but it's just we can't help ourselves.
Daddies give off the playful endorphins. We got to play rough with the babies. That's how they get that love. They get that sense of confidence and security in themselves from roughhousing with daddy. So no, we don't need a choke slam, but we need to chest slam them.
Yeah, exactly. we'll do a little bit of that. Yeah,
just a little bit.
That's kind of how I get my workouts in, because baby girl is getting to the age where she kind of likes being slightly tossed into the couch. So that's how I'm getting the workouts in now.
You're getting De'Meco's getting the baby bench press.
Yeah, just doing a lot of this.
This is the baby bench press.
Yeah, that's how you get. That's how you get that that middle chest. That middle chest right.
Yep, exactly. That's how you get it.
Yeah. My daughter's like, "Daddy, do push-ups." I'm like, "Just come here, so I can just like bench
Yeah.
you." And
Sit
you're
on
like
my back.
a smooth 80 something. Let's go.
That's what's up. I don't.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious because we had obviously talked about The Rock, and I had mentioned this to Blair. I'm not sure of how much of a fan you are of Rock, but can you give me your top 5 Rock movies?
Bro, I'm a Rock stan. I bought his. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
a
you
Rock
see the
stan.
cutout. So.
Yeah. I love Rock,
I
bro.
feel like
He's like one of my
yeah.
idols. Fast Five's number 1. I'm not gonna give a breakdown just for the sake of time. Number 2, let's go Rundown. Number 3, let's go Walking Tall. Okay, so Fast Five, Rundown, Walking Tall. Number 4, because it starts getting kind of. Oh no, Jumanji. Either one or two, both funny. He was really good in that. Just played to like his strengths. Didn't branch out anywhere else he needed to branch out to. Rock killed both the Jumanji movies. And then after that, it's where it starts getting as far as quality. Okay, so we got Fast Five, Rundown, Walking Tall, Jumanji. There's probably one that I really like that I'm forgetting, but I just can't think of it at the moment. But surprisingly, I did like Jungle Cruise. I thought Jungle Cruise was.
I'm a fan of Jungle Cruise.
So, yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
terrible. It was entertaining.
So
It really was good.
Yeah.
It was a good
I would
movie.
have probably sprinkled in Central Intelligence, and then
Oh, with Kevin Hart.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that one, and then I just had it. Oh my god, I just lost the movie. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw,
Hobbs
yeah.
and Shaw.
Yeah, I wanted to say Hobbs and Shaw, but I'm like, I already said Fast Five.
Yeah.
I got to choose one or the other. I can't choose 2 Fast and the Furious movies.
Gotcha. I mean, it's your list,
So
but
that rounds out
According
my top 5.
According to Vin Diesel, that's not a Fast and Furious movie. So you could have.
Woo!
I see that you're moving to Austin. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving to Austin at the end of the month. It's time to get a house. It's time to do something. It's time to make some moves. Let's have a change of scenery. Let's try something out. Let's try new foods. Let's try this. Let's try that. Excited for the move. I can envision us being there for the foreseeable future for quite some time, and it could be forever destination, forever home. I don't know. Only time will tell. But as I say this right now, I could picture spending the rest of my life there. In-person pods, random golf clubs there. So the golf space there is popping. Hopefully, I can make some sort of dent, some sort of impact, some sort of contribution to the golf space in Austin. But only time will tell.
With it being, again, with April being Autism Acceptance Month.
Yes, sir.
What is one piece of advice that you would send in a bottle to parents that might feel like they're going through this alone or are afraid to reach out?
Ooh. Without sounding cliche, it's like everything is going to turn out okay. The universe will unfold as it should is a saying that I've been saying for like a while now. All the good stuff in your life that you envisioned, it's going to happen. All the good stuff that you want, all the joy, the experiences, the happiness that you eventually get in your everyday life, that stuff will come. That's the only thing I could say is like, hey, it's going to be a ride, but just know that at the end of everything, you, your family, health, financials, everything else in between that we all stress out about, everything's going to take care of itself in the long run. And at the end of the day, you'll be fine. You'll be good. You'll be straight.
So with you headed to Austin, I'm imagining there are going to be some challenges with that move. How is your son, or how are you preparing to make that move with your son?
Luckily, since we are looking for a home to eventually move into, we'll be renting an apartment in the meantime for the next year, hopefully maybe earlier than a year. We have resources. Luckily, we have a great realtor who's able to look out for our best interests, the surrounding areas, schools, whatever resources that we need. She's been, she has her nose to the grind and is able to, and has the ability and has the knowledge to tell us where we should move, what part of town we should move to, where we could set ourselves up and set Braxton up for the most successful life as possible. And just having a stranger that we've only met just a month ago, being able to have our best interest and to serve us in that fashion and that at that capacity, it's paramount. It goes a long way with us. It's super important that we have our family, but also someone who's looking out for our best interests and what we need in our particular life, or what we need in life in this particular point of time.
Is that fearful?
Oh yeah, 100%. Any sort of change is scary, but I trust our abilities as parents. I trust our abilities as husband and wife, putting faith in things that we hold dear and our values and what we set out to do, our goals, and what we've already achieved in life. Nothing prepares you for what changes will come. We just try to negate and do our best to mitigate any negative outcomes. There's probably going to be some bumps on the road, some negative outcomes that do come up, but it's up to us to keep doing what we always do, is just overcome them and eventually get through the other side where the grass is greener and where everything's great and everything's gravy. So I'd definitely be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared of the change and scared of the move.
So, very obviously very open and honest. That's exactly what we're looking for. I mean, and hell, just like me even thinking about wanting to move or buying a house is, I could see why it would be like hard moving states. I'm just trying to move in the same city. We want to make this a joyous conversation, bring some light, not lightheartedness, but kind of take you back down memory lane, whether it was good or bad, but also shine a light on your partner, because you've brought it up a lot, how your wife is very near and dear and kind of important to, not kind of, very important to the success of the family at home and you on your social media side. So kind of give us your birthing story.
Like,
from your point of view, the birthing story of Braxton with you and your girlfriend at the time.
Oh man, that was a crazy day. Actually, no, it wasn't crazy. It's just like, it just sounds scary, like just thinking about it. But like, it was actually calm. I remember at our apartment, we had her family over. I remember I woke up that morning and she's like sitting on the couch eating fruit or eating veggies. And I look at her, she's chewing, she's like, my water broke. I'm like, oh, I gotta pack a toothbrush. We gotta pack clothes. We gotta go to the hospital right now. She's like, all right, chill. We'll get that. We'll get that done. But just, we don't have to freak out about it. And I'm like, all right, I'm calm. And I remember just getting to the hospital, thinking about the whole Kanye thing, but like, damn, my son's gonna have the same birthday as Kanye. I'm driving, get there, and I just remember just being there, being nervous, being excited, and then when the time came, I just felt joy. Just that vulnerability that you're thinking, am I going to be a great father? Like, here it comes. Like, it's coming at you full force. Like, there's no shying away from it now. Like, you can't.
Ain't no stopping it.
You can't do that. Ain't no stopping it. That baby's going to come. He pops out, and I just remember, obviously, just thinking, oh, this is like the best thing ever. Like this is ours. We get to share this. This is our contribution to the world, is our son. And just seeing him, I mean, I'm just naming off like all the cliches in the world, but all the different phrases and common sayings that we all feel when we, think about that sort of moment. Like, our emotions are just, they're all over the place, but yet they're so concentrated into this one thing. But I just remember seeing him and being nervous because they kept taking him away and bringing him back. And you know, they're washing his head and all this, and I was excited to take him home. It's like when you have that, you come home from the mall or the toy store, you're like, oh, I just want to go home and just like, you know, live my life with this item. But with this time, it's a baby. It's like, oh, I can't wait just to take him home and just like play with him and, you know, see what he's all about and see what he's into. But that's pretty much my experience once he was born.
What did you see or what did you feel when you looked at your girl right after? You know, what would you tell her?
I was like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, I think about it every day. I'm so sorry for like all the bullshit that I put you through, big or small. Thank you for doing this for us. There's nothing that I could possibly do in my life to feel what you felt at that moment in time. All the pushing, all the struggles, all the pain. But I love you for doing all that. Like, just the stuff that women have to go through. Like, I totally get it. And just things you still continue to go through. Like, accumulated from giving birth all the way to now, to raising Braxton, to being a wife for me. Like, just thank you for everything.
Yeah, guys, like we've said it multiple times, and we say it on every episode. We could talk to Matthew for another 2 hours, whether it be about wrestling or about, you know, being great fathers, but we want to allow him time to go back to his beautiful family. Matthew, thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk to us for some much needed father time. We know that you appreciate it, and our guests and our listeners definitely appreciate it as well.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun doing a podcast in quite some time. Like, just the amount of bullshit and then joking around and then mixing the seriousness. Yes, I love it, bro. So, De'Meco, Blair, commend you guys. Wish you guys nothing but success in the future, and everything that you do in the pod or even outside the pod and as fathers. Thanks for giving me the time and the platform to be with you guys today. So, really do appreciate it.
Before you go, who should we have on the pod?
My co-host, Coach Francis Biondi. He has some stories, bro, because he's like low-key a TV star. So if you have him on, he's a dad to a beautiful baby girl. Be sure to have him on, and you guys will have a great time also.
So, guys, make sure if you like what you heard, like what you see today, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're on all streaming platforms. Give our boy Matthew a good follow over at Just Divot on Instagram. That's my brother De'Meco. I'm Blair. You guys could have been anywhere in the world, but decided to rock out with the pod.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Love you. Make sure you tell somebody that you love you.
All right,
Peace.
one.